It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Let's jump right in. And we always like to start kind of at the beginning because when it comes to doing your net worth, we think it's most valuable when you start at the very beginning of your financial journey. So we've just titled the 20s, the decade for 20-year-olds, starting your journey.
Anybody who is watching this, if you're in your 20s, get excited.
Yep.
Because look, I don't consider myself a jealous personality.
Sure.
I just don't. I mean, I've never been one that has FOMO or feels like I need to look at something and wish that I had something somebody else has. But I will tell you, I am slightly green-hued in the fact that 20-year-olds have so much opportunity that every dollar that comes into their possession can turn into incredible things. So if you are anybody, I don't care if you come from humble beginnings, I don't care if you came from poverty, you can be rich if you will utilize and maximize every dollar that comes into your possession.
And so one of the ways that you track that you're knowing you're doing that well, is by doing an annual net worth statement, even if you're in your 20s, even if you're at the beginning of the journey. And so the question probably asks, okay, well, I'm starting out. You know, what should I focus on my net worth statement? What should I be excited about? Well, in our opinion, it's the assets column. Now, yeah, maybe you don't have a ton, but perhaps you have a car that you've paid for. Maybe you've opened your very first Roth IRA. Maybe you're someone in your 20s and you made your first home purchase. Even though you may not feel like you're wealthy or you don't feel like you've won the financial game yet, odds are you do have some assets that you can list, even if it's only an emergency fund or even if it's only having your deductibles covered, you have assets that you get to put on your net worth statement.
I think a lot of people watch our content, especially if you're in your 20s, and you hear us say you need to be saving and investing 20 to 25% for the future. A few of you, you'll be like, that's too aspirational.
And there's no way I could do that.
And I get that. And that's why I'm telling you, don't let the fact that the goal is at this level and you're here currently, because we've all been poor. We've all had low incomes where, you know, even right after college with a great education, you're just not reaching your full maximum earning potential because you have to build your expertise. So it might take a while. I'm just telling you, make sure you don't let a decade pass where you didn't start putting something towards your army of dollar bills. I don't care. It's so easy right now to put $50, $100, $200 a month. Just make something happen in your financial and investment life.
And if you're trying to answer that question, okay, I want to start, but I don't know where to start, we have a free deliverable available for you. If you go to moneyguy.com/resources, we have a quick one-pager that walks you through our financial order of operations. With the next dollar that you save, where should you put it? It is 100% free. It is out on our website. Go check that out so you can check some of those boxes like, have I covered my deductibles? Am I getting my free employer match? Should I start thinking about Roths and HSAs? When do my retirement accounts come in? It will walk you through when and how to start on your asset building journey.
Yeah, I like that it helps you navigate that whole asset versus liabilities on where your next dollar should go. And that actually leads me to Here's a siren song that I want everyone to avoid in their 20s, because I get it. A lot of you go to college, you go to high school, you graduate high school, you're in college, and you feel like, oh my goodness, I have, since I was a kid, I have invested so much in myself. It is my turn to actually be rewarded for all my hard work. And that's why you see, and so much of our society is set up this way too, because we do have so many celebrations after you graduate college or high school even, that this is your time. This is the go be your best version of yourself. And that usually means special, deals on new cars, on making sure that you can get store credit cards and everything else to fake a life of abundance and success. The problem is it's all fake.
That's right.
And that's what I want to encourage everyone. Have a healthy relationship with debt as early as possible, because that is going to be the force that takes compounding growth, which is actually going to be the secret recipe to your riches and wealth in the future. But if you get in debt before you even leave the starting gates, you will have compounding growth working against you.
But look, sometimes it's an unavoidable circumstance. So when you are doing your net worth statement, if you want to use our template that's available at learn.moneyguy.com, you'll see there is a liability section on there. And perhaps you are someone who had to go get student loans. And that's okay. On your net worth statement is where you're going to see that. Or maybe you bought your first house and you likely could not pay cash. You're going to have a mortgage. That's going to fall in the liability section. It's like Brian said, you want to make sure that you control the liabilities, but you also understand that some of it is unavoidable. Some of it you're going to have, and that's okay. It's part of your financial journey.
So let's give just some guidelines or some
Sure.
guardrails for people. I think student loan debt, you mentioned that, Bo. I always recommend try to keep your student loan debt below what you anticipate your first year salary to be. So if you're somebody who's 18 to 22, you're in the throes of education right now, just be responsible. Or maybe you're somebody watching this thinking of your children who will be in college in a few years. Try to keep that student loan debt under control. Credit card debt. But what do we think about credit card debt?
If you have credit card debt, you should have a goal almost immediately, again, as you work through the food, to knock it out. You should not carry credit card debt. It should be no-go land. It's okay to use credit cards. It's okay to have them as a tool in your financial tool belt. But if you don't have the discipline to be able to pay them off every single month, you shouldn't be using them. You should not have credit card debt. If you see it show up on your net worth statement, that should be an immediate red flag that I've got to get that knocked out.
And then I've already mentioned it, but I want to go a little deeper. Automobiles are financial napalm, meaning that they will blow up your growth opportunity because it's not uncommon for young people. I mean, look, I bought my first new to me used car when I graduated because I felt like I needed better wheels when I got out. Fortunately, I only made a $10,000 decision versus what I think a lot of young people are facing now, which is could be a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 mistake. Here's what we tell you, 23.8. Just put this to memory. We want to make sure if you are buying a car, first of all, this is not luxury. This is just normal brands. We're talking about the Hondas, the Toyotas, and the Chevrolets of your life. 20% down. You don't finance for longer than 3 years, and then it can't exceed 8%. The payments can't exceed 8% of your gross income. If you can keep all that in check, you should find that it's a very affordable car payment to your lifestyle. And then there's one other thing that I want you to know. Your investments have to be greater than your car payment. The last thing I want to see is you graduate from college and have an $800 a month car payment and only $150 going towards your investments. I want it to be flip-flop the other way around.
And so maybe you're saying, oh, Brian, but that's hard. At 23, I don't know if I can do that. Or, yeah, I'm saving $50 a month, but man, I can't, that new car I want, I can't get the car payment below $50. As cold as this water is, we might make the assessment that, man, it might not be time for you to upgrade that car.
That's exactly
Perhaps you ought to drive the car that you have or figure out some way to get into a less expensive vehicle so that you can abide by these rules. Because in a moment, we're going to show you how little it takes to have huge success later in your life. But the way that you create that margin is through the discipline of making decisions like, man, okay, maybe now's not the time for the new car. Maybe I'm going to put that off for the future.
Yeah, let's actually give them some perspective on how powerful their dollars are. I mean, I think about the fact when you're 18, 19, 20 years of age, it's as little as $100 a month can get you to millionaire status. And I think a lot of people, when they hear me say that out loud, because I've said it constantly and I talk about 88 times over, every dollar has the potential to turn into $88 if you invest early enough. What people miss out of that whole equation is that when you add up, if you took your monthly payment of for a 20-year-old like $95 a month and multiplied it by the monthly savings by 45 years, you're only investing $51,000. So you're like $1 million, $51,000 invested. That means $950,000 is coming from the growth of the investments. That's exactly right. 95% is going to come from your army of dollar bills. Remember, earlier I said I was jealous. I was green with envy because you have something the rest of us don't have, which is tremendous years and decades of time to let your money work for you.
So the natural question that you would be saying is, okay, well, 20-year-olds, Brian and Bo just said, man, they should be so excited. They should be just rocking and rolling. Well, let's take a look at how the average American is doing. So Daniel pulled some stats for us that were fantastic, and this from a number of different sources that we have amalgamated. And this is what we have determined, that the median income for someone in their 20s right now is about $28,000 a year. Well, if you look at the median net worth for someone in their 20s, it's about $7,864. And so the question you have is, okay, well, is that good? Is that not good? Remember, we have a formula. It's a little bit of a take on the Money Guy, the Millionaire Next Door formula. We call it the Money Guy Wealth Formula, where you want to determine if you're an average accumulator of wealth or if you're a prodigious accumulator of wealth. So you take your age times your income and divide by 10 plus the number of years until you get to 40. And if your mind just went buggy, don't worry.
Don't worry, we have it.
We're going to show it to you in a second. But what we want to show you is if we have a median income for folks in their 20s of about $28,000 a year, then if you want to be an average accumulator of wealth and your income is around that 28,000 mark, this is for a 25-year-old, then your net worth should be about your annual income, about $28,000. Or if you want to be a prodigious accumulator of wealth, you want your net worth to be about double that amount. So someone who's 25, making $28,000 a year, to be a prodigious accumulator, they should have about $56,000 of total net worth. That's investments and equity in your home and automobiles and those types of things that actually at the bottom of your net worth statement, it should be about $56,000.
When I look at this data and I see the median net worth for somebody in their 20s is $7,864, in a lot of respects, that's actually a relief for me because I want all of my financial mutants watching this and being like, look, this shows me that despite what social media is telling you, a lot of your peers are just as broke as you.
That's
now,
right.
They might have car payments. They might have other things.
Might be faking.
But use this to look at the data of what the median American looks like and say, this is the reality of the situation. I don't have to fake it. I can actually start letting the financial order of operations do this appropriately, take a little bit of today for saving and investing for the future so I have that great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Let these numbers be motivating to you because you can see nobody's rich around you. So use this as an opportunity to start investing in yourself.
So as a reminder, if you want to do these calculations on your own, this is what we call the Money Guy adjusted formula. To be an average accumulator of wealth, you take your age times your income and you divide that by 10 plus the number of years until you get to 40. Now, if you're listening to the 20 section and you're someone in your 40s, you don't get to add the numbers. You just divide it by 10. Well, to be a prodigious accumulator of wealth, you want to have twice that number. So we thought one thing that might be helpful for all of my 20-year-olds out there, maybe you're not by a calculator or you don't like to do math in your head. We just said, okay, let's look at folks from 20 to 29, and let's look at 4 different income ranges. Let's look at someone who makes $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, and $200,000. And you may be saying, oh my goodness, no 20-year-olds make $200,000. No, they do, and you're listening to the show. There's a lot of our folks in high tech that are super, super productive. It is not uncommon. So what I would encourage you to do is if you're out there listening to on iTunes or iHeartRadio or Spotify, we have a chart on the screen, and you just go kind of pick your age. All right, I'm 25 years old, and I make about $100,000 a year. If I want to be a prodigious accumulator, my net worth should be about $200,000. So this will give you an idea of where you stand. And remember, if you're kind of comparing yourself to your peers, the median net worth of someone in their 20s right now is about $7,800. So if you really want to be a financial mutant, your numbers should be closer to the numbers that we're showing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. I love that we give the range because I know when I was in my 20s, I mean, I think I shared with you guys my starting salary out of college was $28,000. It doesn't mean just because you're not making $200,000 a year in your 20s that you're not destined for greatness. I just think it means we've given you range, maximize your potential, not comparing yourself to others, so you steal yourself that joy.